So we're starting with this one. You're given two functions. One is called f of x, one is called g of x. What is the value of f of? So f and then bracket, we say it كده, f of g of 1 minus g of f of 1. So أول حاجة أنا عايزك بس to remember please to think of ال f وال g دول as names of the function. These are two different functions وعشان نفرق ما بينهم we give each one of them a specific name. So أول واحدة is called f الفانكشن f وتاني واحدة اسمها function g. And we need to find f of something يعني we will keep referring to the function اللي اسمها f only. So if we say f of something then we refer to the function f. What do I mean by that? So if I say f of 3 we're supposed to go to the function f, remove the x and substitute 3. So f of 3 should be equals to root 2 bracket 3. Remove the x, substitute 3, which is root 6. That's it. But they don't want f of a number, they want f of g of 1. And yet last time we said if we want f of g of a number, we will work our way from the inside out. يعني هاخد ال 1 الأول substituted جوه g. وبعدين اللي هيطلع substituted جوه f. So let's do that. أول حاجة هجيب g of 1. How do I find g of 1? أروح لل g أشيل ال x بتاعتها وأحط 1. Calculate this تطلع الانسر 2. معناها إن أنا دلوقتي عايز f of 2 actually. Which is إزاي أجيبها؟ أروح للفانكشن f أكتبها زي ما هي أشيل ال x بتاعتها وأحط 2. That would give me root 4 which is 2. So this is the answer of f of g of 1, 2. Now let's get g of f of 1. So first we'll work inside out. The 1, I'll take it inside the f, and then whatever comes out, I'll take it inside the g. So the 1 goes for the f. يعني هجيب f of 1, which is mainly root 2 multiplied by 1, يعني root 2. Then take this root 2 and substitute it into the g. يعني دلوقتي g of root 2, which is mainly 2 bracket root 2 all to the power of 2, which will result into 4. So this is g of f of 1, which is 4. All what you need to do is to do 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. So the answer is B. Does this one make sense? Sorry?
Something like
yeah.
Why did we make root 2? يعني ليه مش 2 زي ما هي؟
You're talking على f of 1 اللي هي this one صح؟
Yeah.
Okay, so أنا عايز دلوقتي g of f of 1. So المفروض أجيب الأول ال f of 1 بكام صح؟ What is f of 1؟ المفروض أروح لروت 2 وأفتح براكت مكان ال x دي أهي وأحط 1 فطلعت لي الأنسر روت 2 because root 2 times 1 is root 2. لحد هنا أوكي؟
يعني الانسر اصلا تطلع في الكالكوليتر
بالظبط فبدل ال f1 هحط دلوقتي روت 2 هي هتطلع كده زي ما هي فاهمه؟
ماشي
شور ها؟
سهله
يس علي اوكي there's something يا علي that says ان انا لو عندي function let's say f of x equals x squared plus 3 let's say if I need to find f of 4 what does that mean? It means that I should go for the function remove the x and substitute it 4. So 4 to the power of 2 plus 3. And that should get me 16 plus 3, which then should get me 19. So this is the value of f of 4. Does this part make sense, Ali? Okay, so what if I, instead of f of 4, I ask for f of x plus 3? Same thing. You'll just remove this x and substitute x plus 3. Makes sense, this part? Sure?
Yeah. So if I get, for example, x plus 6, I'll just put x plus 6 squared plus 3.
Exactly.
Just substitute it.
Exactly. So what if I said I have another function now called g of x, that's 2x minus 1, okay? And now I told you I need you to get me f of g of x. what are you going to do? Same exact thing. Remove the x from the f and substitute inside of there the value of g of x, which is 2x minus 1.
Yes.
So this part is called f of g of x. This means that we're going to take the g and substitute it inside of the f. Makes sense, correct? Type. Now, if I said f of g of 3, what does that say? It says that we're supposed to take the 3 first, put it inside the g, and then whatever comes out, we'll take it and put it inside the f. صح? That's what we did here. So f of g of 1 is mainly first g of 1, which came out as 2, and then we took this 2 and we substituted into the f to get f of g of 1, and that got me the answer of 2. And then I got g of f of 1, which is mainly f of 1 first, the whole inside part first, which is root 2, and substituted that into the g, which came out as 4. Then I subtracted 2 minus 4 and it got me the whole answer as negative 2. Clear?
Yes. Thank you.
Most welcome. Right. Now I'd like to say something عشان بس أوريكم أنتوا all liars يا كلاب. So this is something that was there in the exit ticket yesterday, and I saw this. So this blue, yellow, or this blue color is what says you're amazing. 75% says you're amazing. كدابين. So this says, and I shouldn't ever trust any of the exit tickets. You're all lying. Okay, that's good. Thank you. The guys who said yesterday, or they told me that they're going to fill the exit ticket, actually didn't, and I have only like 6 answers, results. Do those. Do the exit tickets. They're important. Anyway. طيب. This was a question. Clearly an exponential function. ازاي عرفنا ان هو exponential function? Because when you read the question, it says the half-life. Half-life is a very important keyword. لو انتوا فاكرين yesterday, we said that all exponential functions, first of all, follow this form, a times b to the power of x. And we said that the word half-life means that b must be equals to half. So whenever we say half-life, this means that the rate, اللي هو b, is half. A is supposed to represent the initial amount, which is the amount we started with at the very beginning, while the x should represent time. And in this question, it says time is in years. So clearly x should represent years. طيب, how much of the original amount of the substance to the nearest whole gram will remain after 140 years? They need to know how much will remain after 40 years. So we need to create the function. A is the initial value, as I said. How do I find the initial value? When you look at this table, it says here that the year was 0 and the amount in grams was 1,200. What does that say? When the year is 0 and the amount is 1,200, this means that this was at the very beginning. So this was the initial, exactly. So the initial value in this question is this amount, 1,200. ليه? Because zero years passed, not a single year passed. So the initial amount is mainly 1,200. That's the A. What about the B? The B is what we said is already half because of the word half-life. So what is the power, which is the X? That's supposed to be the years. How many years are we talking about? 140 years. So I should just substitute here 140. Put this on a calculator and calculate the answer. Let me check. It's 1,200 multiplied by 0.5 to the power of 140. Oops, no, that is not true. That is not true. Did I do something? No. Yep. This is weird. We need to subtract it from the original. No, because this is the decay amount. It shouldn't be. Because it's to the nearest. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Wait. 140. it should come out as 8.6 كذا to the nearest whole gram. So yeah, 1/4. No, guys, this isn't right. This isn't أصلا فعلا right. So 140 is equals to 5. What does that mean? We need to subtract it. So 140.
Mr.
Yep.
If we found out that 1 year is equal, if we found that x or replace x with 1, we find that the amount of grams will be equal to 600, meaning that 28 equals
250
1.
and the remaining.
So we divide 140 over 28, we get 5. Here we replace 5 to get the answer 37.5 or 38 in that case.
That makes sense. That's nice. عمر انت كنت عايز تقول ايه؟ Give me a second.
So the half-life is 28, not
guys, it says I have an unstable connection. Do you have any problems with that? Okay. Jed, معلش, I'm sorry, you were saying something at the very end. Hello?
Yes, we find the representative of 1, which would be x. So here 28 equals 1. If we replace the x with 1, we get 140. Here ends 5.
طب wait. I do have.
It should be the amount of half-lives or in that 100%.
طيب wait, and it seems like I do have a problem with my connection because I do not hear anything except weird sounds coming out. But yes, let me say what happened here. Now, it's not true that the rate here is half. Here's the mistake that I fell into. Because when they said the half-life here, they did not actually mean that this case has a half-life of whatsoever. They were just explaining what is half-life. And here they're saying the half-life of a radioactive substance is the amount of time it takes for half the substance to decay. They were just explaining what is half-life. And then they told me something else. It's like this is another case. That's what I fell into. They say that the table below shows the time in years and the amount of substance left for a certain radioactive substance. So we actually don't know the B value. That's the case. We don't know the B value. But what do we know? We know that yes, the initial value was 1,200. We don't know the B value. But we do know that in 14 years, for example, when X was equals to 14, the amount left was 850. Yes. However, yes. In other words, we can say half-life. Yes, ya habibi, yes. When you look at the differences between those values, y values, اللي هم amounts of graphs, this amount actually got to be half-lifed after 28 years. يعني it got to نصه after 28 years. يعني this means ان الhalf-life اللي بتhappen دي اللي هو rate of half happens every 28 years. يعني this means that the power, if you remember, should be divided by 28. Let me re-say this. You remember, guys, أنا كمان معلش أنا كده I got you confused دايما. Give me a second. You remember yesterday when we had this question where was yep, this one. They said here the number of rabbits in a certain population doubles every 40 days. And because it doubles, we said that the B is supposed to be equals to 2 because it doubles. While because this happens every 40 days, we knew that this means we're supposed to divide the power by 40, because this doubling happens every 40 days. And that's how we got this form of 12 times 2 to the power of t over 40. Does that part make sense before I move to the question? And I'm asking now everyone. Does this part that I'm talking about make sense to everyone or not? Is any of you confused at any point?
Mr. Ahmed,
Yes. Yes, yeah.
I understood that A times B, and I understood that B is half and A is the original amount. But other than that,
No, B is not a must to be half. B, because you missed that part. B is what we call a rate of whatever is happening. So if that rate, let's say it says that they double every so and so, then B will be equals to 2. But on the other hand, if they said that they are half-lifed every so and so, then this means that B will be equals to half. So B is the rate, whatever it is that's happening. In this specific question right here that's written now, it says that the number of rabbits in a certain population doubles every year. So because of that word doubles, we realized that the B must be equals to how much, Ali? 2. Does that make sense? Ali?
Yeah, I got it.
So now the A is what you said, yes, is the initial value. In this case, they said that the population started with 12 rabbits. So I substituted the A with 12. And I said now it's 12 times 2. Now what about the power? Because they said that this doubling happens every 40 days, then this means that we need to divide or put in the power t or whatever variable divided by 40. Why is it divided by 40? Because it happens every 40 days. We had a question, another one, where, for example, like this one. Radioactive substance has half-life. So because this word is half-life, this means that B is equals to half. But it happens every 12 days, half-life of 12 days. So then this means that the power, which is the x, must be divided by 12, while B is still equals to half because it's half-life. Then they said there are 128 milligrams of the radioactive. So that's the initial value, 128 that we started with. And that's how we got the equation or the function. Same thing is about to happen now in this one. Since this is definitely, and most welcome, since this is definitely an exponential function, so it is a times b to the power of x. A is supposed to be the initial value, and we understand that the initial value, because x is equals to 0, the initial value must be 1200. So we put a with 1200. Then what about the b? When does it actually go to half-life? When does that happen, the half-life? It was here 1200, and then it became 600, which means half of it. By how many years? By 28 years. So the half-life, yes, it is half, but it happens every how many years? It happens every 28 years. So the number of years here should be divided by 28. So if they said, I want to know how many are there after 140 years, I'm supposed to substitute this x with 140. That's the mistake that I did last time. I did not realize that the half-life is done every 28 days. I thought it's done every year, and that doesn't make sense. So I should put now 140 divided by 28. Put that on a calculator, and it should get you, yes, the answer right away. 1200 multiplied by 0.5 to the power of 140 over 28. That is 37.5. So since they said to the nearest whole gram, this means that I need to approximate this to the bigger, which means it's 38. So then this means that D must be the correct answer. Does that make sense? Girls and boys and everything. Awesome. Moving on to this one, the population of a certain town doubles every 25 years. So because it doubles, this means that B must be equals to 2. Because this happens every 25 years, then the power of the B must be divided by 25. If the population of the town was 51,200 in the year 1980, هنا بقى in what year was the population 6,400? This is the trick شوية, okay? Now, this is supposed to be the form of any exponential function, and that should give me the amount left after whatever number of years. Here they say they double. So they started with a very small amount, and then by the year 1980, they reached the number 51,200. They want to know, if we want to go backwards, when was the population 6,400? فأنهي سنة كان population 6,400? So do I know the initial amount? I'm asking you guys, do we know the initial amount? This is one way to look at it. If we may say that the initial amount was 6,400. We started with 6,400. And we also know that the B is 2 because they say they double. We also know that the power, which is the number of years, whatever that may be, is supposed to be divided by 25. All right? We know that the result of that after some number of years, we don't know how many years exactly, but we know that after some number of years, they became 51,200. We want to know what's that? What's the value of X? We want to know how many years it took this thing to become 51,200. Does the theory here make sense? Do you understand the goal of what we're trying to do before we actually solve it? طيب focus بقى please معايا قوي في الحتة دي. Again, we substituted the things we know. We know that we started definitely with the smaller amount, which is 6,400. So we assumed that this is the initial value. We also know that the B must be equals to 2 because it doubles. We also know that this doubling happens every 25 years, so the power must be divided by 25. We knew that it should reach 51,200. The only thing we don't know is the years. So let's do that. How do I solve and find the value of X? Isn't the 6,400 multiplied? So it goes to the other side of the equal sign by what? Yes, يا لولو wait معايا هقول لك exactly what it means. How do I move the 6,400 to the other side? It's multiplied, so it goes to the other side by division. So then I should have here 51,200 divided 6,400. Now, once you put this number on a calculator, 51,000 divided 6,400, the answer is 8. طيب, how do I still find the value of X? Now, whenever الvariable اللي هو X أو unknown بيبقى في الباور, I can't really find the value of X unless I make the bases, those bases, equal to each other. So you ask yourself this question: how do I change the 8 to become 2 power something? 2 power what would give me 8? And you'll find on a calculator that it's 2 power 3 would give you 8. So if that's the case, if now both are equal to each other, we can say that this power is equal to this power. The x over 25 is equals to the 3. And we will work on that as a different equation here. Move the 25 to the other side by multiplication, and that would get me the value of x as 75. 75 what? 75 years. So if it reached 51,200 in the year 1980, go backwards 75 years. So subtract from 980 minus 75 years. That would get me to the year 1905, which is C. Lulu, do you get how is it accurate now? And everyone else, do you get what happened? Well, it seems to be a hard one.
It's just a bit confusing.
Yeah, I know. So let's go. Tell me. I'll try to go through the steps of what happened with me. Step by step, I started with where, and then how did we get the answer? We started with the idea of the way it doubles. And since it doubles, we knew that the B must be equals to 2. And since they said this happens every 25 years, I knew that this means that the power must be divided by 25. And then they said that in a specific year, they became 51,200. They want to know previously in what year they were previously 6,400. So I assumed that the initial amount that I started with is the 6,400, and I assumed that the amount that I've reached is the 51,200. I want to know how many years would that take. So I wrote this equation, or this function, this equation actually right here. The 6,400 multiplied by 2 to the power of x over 25, that must be equals to 51,200. Then in order to find the value of x, this is now an equation I. Whatever is multiplied here, I move to the other side by division. And I got 2 to the power of something equals 8. Now, this is general bad, and I can't really solve equations with the variable in the power unless the bases are equal to each other. So I have to change the 8 and make it 2 power something. Now they're both 2. So I can say that this power, x over 25, is equals to this power, which is 3. So I moved the 25 to the other side, and I got x, which is the number of years for this transformation to happen. So if they reached the 51,200 in the year 1980, and I go backwards this amount of years, then I will know when was actually 6,400.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Yes, I got the answer, but I just asked if it is okay to assume stuff without them stating it again. No, Lulu, we didn't actually assume. Now, this function of the exponential function gets me the number of years. وخلاص. It doesn't get me the exact year. It gets me how many years it took something to happen. So I took, and I assumed, I didn't actually assume it كده من دماغي وخلاص. I said, if I actually finally started with 6,400, how many years would it take it to reach 51,200? So that's a legit question, and that's a one that could be answered by exponential functions. So we used the exponential function to know how many years it took the 60,400 to get to 51,200, and then we go back. So it's actually true. It's not like something we assumed a number that we put out of nowhere. Jed, you're saying can't we solve in reverse? Can't we have 51,000 as the initial? No, هقول لك ليه ما ينفعش يا جد، لأنه if you put the initial amount as 51,200 and the rate as 2, يعني بالدبل, then it will keep getting bigger. How would it get smaller suddenly? How would the 51,200 become 60,400 while the rate is doubling? It's multiplied by 2. Yes, we can make it to half. That's another way. Yes, it works definitely. It's just a different way of looking at it. But remember, in that case, you'll have to change everything. You'll change the b to become half, and change the initial value as 51,200, and make the result 6,400. So you mainly did the same thing, but with an extra step. صح? It works. You just added an extra step. That's all. يعني what you're saying is mainly, let me show you on the side here عشان بس تشوف steps how close they are to each other. You're saying let's start with the 51,200 and then put the b equals to half instead of 2, and then keep this as x over 25, and this is now equals to 6,400. And you'll do the same thing to find the value of x, so it will get you to the same. Actually, it will be harder for you to figure out half power what would get me the value of x if you don't use shift solve. Yeah. So yeah, it works if you understand it. If you don't, and if you feel that this red one is a bit harder or the blue one is a bit harder, let me know. You know that there are both ways how to solve the question. Let me know which one of them you think is easier, for example, or which one of them.
Mr. Ahmed, I just have.
Yes.
So at the end, when you get 2 to the power of 3, you're just going to multiply 3 by 25?
It's not that I'm just going to multiply it because of nothing. It's just that I said here that 2 power something is equal to 2 power something else. Doesn't that mean that the powers are equal as well? Because they're both 2 power something, right? So I took those powers, those circles out here as 2 things equals to each other. And then because the 25 is here divided, and I need to move it to the other side to find the value of x, I moved it with multiplication. Makes sense?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Most welcome. Noreen ولينا good. محمد الدوت دي كان معناها ايه يا محمد؟ بتلخبطني؟ You good? طيب. Check out this one finally before we go to the test. A radioactive, actually not this one and the one after this. The radioactive substance decays at a rate of 18%. Now this is a different story. They don't double or they don't half. No, the rate is 18% per year. And they decay, so it decreases by 18% per year. The initial amount is 100, so I know that A is equals to 100. And because they decay at a rate of 18, what we discussed last time is that B must then be equals to 1 minus 18 over 100. We said in order to remove the percentage sign, we divided by 100, and then we put 1 minus whatever it is, the amount that we're decaying. So this will become 0.82. If the initial amount of the substance is 100, خلاص, we know which of the following functions models the remaining amount of the substance after t years. So we know that it's 100 multiplied by 0.82 to the power of t. So this means that B must be the correct answer. Awesome. And that's the same thing you did, what you're saying here. So again, this question is pretty easy, to the point. They just show me the other way of getting the B. We said if it decays by 18%, we'll put 1 minus 18 over 100. If it increases by 18%, if it grows by 18%, I would have put 1 plus 18 over 100. This if it grows by this amount. So I think this one is easy. Finally, this one. This is the one that I wanted actually to make sure we cover. They said here, this is a specific expression. It gives the value of an investment that pays an annual interest of R%. So R is the interest rate. 5,000 is the initial amount. Which of the following expressions shows the difference between the value of a 15-year investment at 6% and a 12-year investment at برضه 6%? So we need the difference between 2 scenarios, which means we'll get the first one and we'll get the second one and we'll subtract them from each other. The difference between 15 and 12. So we'll get first the 15 one, using the 6% annual compound interest rate. I'll put برضه the 5,000 as it is. I'll leave the 1 as it is. Instead of the R, now I'll put the 6. And instead of the T, now I'll put the number of years, which is 15. And then minus the other case, which is 12 years. So 5,000 multiplied by 1 plus برضه 6 over 100. But the only difference here is that the years are now 12. Now, when you look at the answers are not written as a final number وخلاص. They're written in a form that looks a bit weird. That's what we got. And these are the options that we have. Now, if you put 1 plus 6 over 100 on a calculator, only this part, it will become 1.06 to the power of 15 minus 5,000 برضو times 1.06 to the power of 12. So which one of those is equivalent to the one that I've written over here? It's actually C. How do I know that? Because if you took the 5,000 itself as something called a common factor, when you look at these two, the 5,000 is a common factor. You write the common factor out and then you open up a bracket. You leave what's remaining, which is mainly this 1.06 to the power of 15 minus 1.06 to the power of 12, and then close the bracket. This is the same as choice C. Does that make sense? If you, for some reason, forgot the idea of a common factor, even though it's extremely important, just look at the answers and you'll know that this 5,000, if you want to distribute it, it should be distributed on both. And it will look just like this one. So you can either do the common factor on your own or just work the answers عشان نخليها شبه الانسر اللي احنا جبناه. Does this make sense? That's okay, برضه يا جد. Everyone, let's start to check what we understand. Yes, ya Ali.
So this is fine if you could just quickly just go over it again.
Sure, one more time. I just substituted into the expression that they gave me up here. They told me that they needed the difference between two different scenarios. And the word difference بالنسبة لي means that I'm supposed to subtract two things from each other. Now, the first scenario is that we started with برضو 5,000, just like the form, and we have a rate of 6%. That's why the R is equals to 6. But then the years in the first scenario was 15 years. The second scenario, though, was that they started with 5,000, and then the rate is still 6, but the power now is just 12 years. When you calculate this part, 1 plus 6 over 100, it will come out as 5,000 multiplied by 1.06 to the power of 15 minus still 5,000 multiplied by 1.06 to the power of 12. When you look at the answers, you'll find that the answer does not really match the one that you got. But when you look at choice number C, you'll find that this 5,000, once distributed on these two, will look exactly like the answer that you got. So definitely C must be then the correct answer. Does that make it easier شوية?
Thank you.
Most welcome. طيب, let's start solving شوية. Practicing شوية of different ideas and theories. Now remember, this is something that you can use your calculator in. So we'll start with P5. Some of the questions you would be able to solve, and others is extremely hard for you to figure out. You just need to put the answers that you would guess in an actual exam, just to know. Maybe you'll get it right and maybe you'll get it wrong. They discuss things like normal inequalities. They discuss lines and perpendicular and parallel as the linear equations we discussed earlier. They discuss percentages, averages. So too many different ideas, and they're actually very important topics, the ones in this specific test. Once we're done with P5, inshallah, we will quickly explain the questions in P5 and then quickly, inshallah, and hopefully move to P6 right away. Whenever you guys are ready, let's start. So mainly for the 5 questions, I'll give you a total of 8 minutes for the first 5 questions, part 5. Please make sure you have to finish within that time so that we have enough time to solve the others, okay? just started. P5. So let's start with 1. It's important that we know how to handle questions even if we don't know anything about their topic. So given the two inequalities, 3x plus 1 is bigger than or equals to 8, and 4x minus 1 is less than 3 times x plus 1, what's the greatest possible integer for x? What do I know? I know that inequalities are the same as equations. I can easily find the value of x in this inequality, for example. So all what I need to do is to move everything next to the x to the other side and switching the operation. So if the 1 here is added, it should go to the other side by subtraction. But then if the 3 wants to be removed, it goes to the other side by division. So x is bigger than or equals to 7 over 3. This is the first part that I got out of the first inequality. There's another inequality as well that I can do the same thing with. So I'll just do what I can do. I'll distribute the 3 on both, which will give me 3x plus 9. I'll put the x's on the same side and the numbers on the other side. So I'll move this 3x here, and I'll move the negative 1 to this side next to the 9. So 4x minus 3x is just 1x less than 9, and then the negative 1 goes to the other side as plus 1. So x is less than 10. Now I have two inequalities. X should be bigger than 7 over 3, and at the same time it should be less than 10. This means that it can't be 10. What's 7 over 3? On a calculator, 7 over 3 is mainly 2 point something. So it can't be 2. What's the greatest possible integer then? 3 or 9? It's definitely 9. Actually, oh yeah, 3.3, okay. 6, yeah. 7, okay, 3.3, if that's what you say. No matter what, at the end of the day, 9 must be the correct answer. Does that make sense?
بس انا عملتها بطريقه ثانيه يا استاذ.
ايه هي يا حبيبي؟
اللي هو انا يعني حسيت ان هو 9 او 10 هم اللي هيكون انسر، فبدل يعني ما اعمل
جربت.
عملت سبستيتيوت الاكس 9.
ماشي، بس انا يعني انا ما عنديش مشكله انك تجرب، بس في الحاجات يعني هم بيعتمدوا على فكره انه لما يقول لك the greatest possible answer, most of you would assume انه the greatest value. فهم sometimes they do this intentionally ان هو يحط لك the greatest value as a mistake زي ما انت لسه شايف كده. فانا بقلق بس من الحاجات دي. if there is a way to do it وانت واثق, do it. If you are able and you have enough time to try it out, طبعا try it out. It's completely correct.
طريقه اسرع.
It depends عليك انت. انا شخصيا بحس ان ده اسرع عشان ببقى انا واثق. بس الثانيه لا، عشان هي ممكن تكون اسرع، بس انا لما ببقى انا شخصيا انا لما ببقى قلقان شويه وانا بحل بحس ان انا باخد وقت اطول، ما اعرفش ليه يعني. بس انا كده معرفش. طيب تعالوا نجرب number 2. It says in this XY plane line M, ده line. Yes يا حبيبي.
معلش سوري، هي كده نمبر 1 الانسر بتاعتها عشان ما كنتش عارفه يعني انا جبت الانسر بس مش عارفه يعني كده المفروض الحل يبقى ايه.
طيب يعني انت جبتي الحته دي ان الاكس bigger than 2 over 2.3 وان الاكس less than 10.
يعني كل الستبس انا فاهماها تمام، بس
الانسر
الانسر
بقى في
بقى
الاخر
نفسها اللي هي 9
ازاي بقى؟
الموضوع.
صح. طيب الاكس المفروض تكون اكبر من او equal ل 2.3 صح؟ يعني ما ينفعش تكون 2 مظبوط؟ لانها المفروض تكون اكبر من 2.3 ف 2 ما تنفعش. طيب ال 10 برضو ما تنفعش عشان هنا بيقول لي الاكس لازم تبقى اصغر من 10، فال 10 برضو ما تنفعش. فانا كده ما عنديش غير يا 3 يا 9. بس هو في الاوبشنز بيقول لي what is the greatest possible value، فاكيد مش ال 3 بقى، هضطر اخد الكبيره اللي فيهم اللي هي 9. فاهمه؟
اوكي ماشي.
يعني انت يعني الباقي بقى تفكير بقى، ما بقاش حل بستبس. فاهمه؟
ايوه فهمت.
بس طيب نمبر 2 دي بيقول لي عندي line M passing through the point 2 و 5 و is perpendicular. Now this is الكي word بالنسبه لنا. Now if you attended the linear functions this would be an easy question. If you did not yet, I يعني strongly suggest that you watch the video on the first class اللي هو linear functions و the second one لأنه it discusses this in details. المهم نعرف إيه عن كلمة perpendicular أو this is what we're supposed to do whenever we see the word perpendicular. أول ما أشوف perpendicular أنا كده فاهم أو ده معناه إن أنا عندي السلوبس حاجة اسمها negative reciprocal. يعني إيه negative reciprocal؟ يعني لو عندي لاين مثلا السلوب بتاعه ب3 اللاين التاني البربنديكولر عليه هيكون السلوب بتاعه النيجاتيف ريسبريكال بتاعه. يعني ايه برضو؟ يعني بقلبه وبعدين اغير الساين. يعني ال3 دي تبقى 1 over 3 فليب and then كمان اغير لها الساين تبقى نيجاتيف 1 over 3. فانا لو عندي لاين السلوب بتاعه ب 4 over 5 البربنديكولر عليه هيكون نيجاتيف 5 over 4. لو عندي لاين السلوب بتاعه ب 3 over 2 او نيجاتيف 3 over 2 البربنديكولر عليه هيكون positive 2 over 3 لاني بقلبه وبغير الساين. Does this make sense for at least the people who did not attend perpendicular negative reciprocal? Does that make sense? Whenever you see the word perpendicular, that's what you think of. So what we will try to do is هو perpendicular لمين؟ هو perpendicular لline N اللي هو passing through the point 4 and 7 with the point negative 2 and 3. So what we will do is get the slope out of these 2 points and then get the slope of the line that's perpendicular on it. So using these 2 points اللي هم 4 و 7 negative 2 and 3 I'll get the slope. How do I get the slope whenever I'm given a 2 points? I do the rise over run, which is mainly y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. يعني 3 minus 7 over negative 2 minus 4. That's negative 4 over negative 6, which is 2 over 3. This is the slope of line N. So what's the slope of line M? The one that's perpendicular. I'll switch, I'll flip, and I'll switch the sign. So line M, the one that is perpendicular, will have a slope of negative 3 over 2. Flip and switch the sign. Now look at the answers. The first line, the slope of it is negative 3 over 2. So this could be the answer. The second one is bardo negative 3 over 2. So this one could be. But C has a slope of 2 and D has a slope of negative 2 over 3. C and D are completely incorrect. Now how do I check whether A is the correct one or B is the correct one? Using the given point that is on line M. I should substitute ال X ب 2 واشوف ال Y هتطلع ب 5 ولا لا. فمثلا في A لو عملت negative 3 over 2 times 2 plus 8 على الكالكوليتر هيطلع لي 5. So yes, it is similar. So A must be the correct choice. Please ask if you're a tiny bit confused. شاكك فيكم. أنا شاكك مش عارف. طيب يعني hopefully this one is easy. Checking these actually there are 3 questions on the same.
مستر ممكن تطلع فوق ثانية بس اخد سكرين شوت؟
أنا بحط النوتس يا نورين ما تنسيش ها؟
ماشي
ما تنسيش عشان بس ما تبقيش يعني focusing على موضوع الكوبينج أكتر من أي حاجة. أنا بحط النوتس every single class ما تخافيش.
خلاص تمام اوكي.
anyway طيب دول الكويستشنز اللي بيجي عليها one big information وعليهم 3 ولا 4 questions most of the time بيلخبطوا الناس او بيبقى ساعات رخامتهم ان هم كل بارت على حاجه مختلفه قوي او ساعات رخامتهم الاكتر ان يكونوا الثلاثه building up على بعض. فتعالوا نشوف how this one works and see. The first one here it says what is the sum of the average amounts one for renting cars and trucks during the year 2017 to the year 2020. So let's look at the table and understand what does it say. هو بيتكلم على ايه. Apparently the headers are the most important thing. These are the years. This is the amount of money that we got out of renting cars. This is the amount of money that we got out of renting trucks. So the difference between this and that is that this one is for cars and this one is for trucks. Apparently they want the sum of the average amount won during the years 2017 and 2020. So we first need to get the average of the renting cars and the average of the renting trucks during those years, and then get their sum. That's how I split the question into parts. So I'll get the average amount of renting trucks how, or cars how. How do I get the average عامة? So the average is mainly هو something called the mean. The average and the mean are the same thing. How do I get the average? By adding them together اللي هو الsum over the number. يعني if I'm talking على from the year 2017 to the year 2020, I'm talking about a total of 4 years. 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. I'm supposed to add the amounts in these 4 years and then divide it by 4. So that's what I'm going to do. For the cars first, I'll add these 4 on a calculator and then divide them by 4. Would someone please do that and tell me what's the answer? If you've already done that, that would be great. Tell me the answers for both, the average of this and the average of that. If you did not, please tell me what did you do. And I think this is the only way. Anyone? Okay, for the cars, it's 1, 3, 6, 9, 8.225. And that's for the cars. Now for the trucks. Eight four 8411.4 0.5 plus 0.4 plus 0.5. You're sure of the trucks, huh? So now I just need to add these two together. And that will get you to, I think, 22, huh? Or 25, not 22, I think. 1, 3, 6, 9, 8, 5 plus. Yes, it's C then. Once you add these two, it will get you 21,109.625. Does this question make sense? Again, how do I know what to do? They told me they need the sum. The sum of what? The sum of two things. What are these two things? Some of the averages of the renting for the cars and then the renting for the trucks from the year 2017 to the year 2020. I got the average of the cars and then the average of the trucks and added them together to get the answer. Are we clear? Yes, you have guided. It's not a problem either. Right. If we check number 4, what is the percentage increase of the amounts won for renting trucks only from the year 2015 to the year 2017? So now I'm only talking about the trucks, and I need to know the percentage increase, الانكريس اللي حصل from the year 2017 till the year, sorry, from the year 2015 till the year 2017. So how do I get the percentage of something? The percentage of anything is mainly wanted, اللي أنا عايزه, over the total, and then I just multiply by 100. What does that mean? What's the wanted? What do they want? The percent of what? The percentage of the increase. So what is the increase? How do I get the increase من هنا لهنا? I'll subtract them. I'll do 8050.2 minus 7888.3. This is the increase. Over the total here means the amount that you increased on. مين اللي أنا زودت عليه؟ أكيد ما زودتش على الير 2017، زودت على الير 2015 اللي هم كانوا كام؟ اللي هم كانوا 7888.3. Once you do this and you put it on a calculator times 100, that should get you the answer as C, 2.05. Does this one make sense?
لا مش كيف هذا ثاني.
طبعا. إيه فاهم إيه؟
مش فاهم حاجة.
طيب ماشي. طب فاهم إيه من السؤال؟ سيبك من الحل. فهمت إيه من اللي هو قاله؟
أنا فاهم إن هم عايزين البرسنتج انكريس بتاع ده.
يعني ماشي، انا بالعربي عايز الانكريس، البرسنتج انكريس. اوكي
بس ازاي اجيبها مش فاهمها بصراحه.
ماشي، هو عايز البرسنتج انكريس من الير 2015 للير 2017 صح؟ فانا علمت اهو على الير 2015 والير 2017 بتوع التراكس بس صح؟
تمام.
طيب عشان اجيب كلمه برسنتج بتاعت اي حاجه، انا عايز اجيب مثلا برسنتج اوف بويز مثلا في الكلاس، المفروض الوانتد اوفر التوتال، يعني البويز اوفر everyone in class. طب انا عايز اجيب البرسنتج انكريس، الزياده، هو انا بزود على مين؟ مين التوتال اللي انا بزود عليه؟
اللي هو بتاع 2015.
حلو. سو التوتال بالنسبه لي احنا قلنا البرسنتج هتبقى wanted over total صح؟ سو التوتال بالنسبه لي هو ال 7888.3 مظبوط؟ طب الانكريس اللي حصل من هنا لهنا بقى ده قد ايه؟ اعملهم ماينس بعض.
اللي هو 2017 مع 2015
اللي هو هيطلع ب exactly 161.9. جبت منين ده؟ جبته منين الرقم ده؟ عملت 8050 سوري 0.2 minus 7888.3 اللي هو الانكريس اللي حصل. Does that make sense؟ طيب اعمل دول بقى الاثنين divided بعض، وبعد كده اللي هيطلع تعمله times 100 عشان انت عايزها as a percentage. So 161.9 divided 7888.3 equal هيطلع لك على الكالكوليتر times 100 تطلع 2.05 2 باين percent، يعني 2.05. This is the one that you're going to select. فاهم؟
ايوه بس شكرا.
العفو يا حبيبي.
But I just want to ask one.
طبعا.
So it's 80.50 minus 7888.3.
Yes.
Then the answer you get is going to be over 788. Why is it 7,000?
Exactly. What's the amount that you increased on? مش أنا عايز أعرف increase on something. So which one is the amount that I increased on? It's definitely not the amount that I won in 2017. It's the one that I won at the beginning. صح؟ طيب let me ask you this question يا علي to check if you do understand. What if I wanted the percentage decrease?
I will put it from, if you wanted to decrease from 8,000 to 7,000.
Yeah.
You put 8,050.
So the total, the one in the total would be the 8,050, but in the wanted it's still 161.9, which is the difference, which is the decrease. صح؟
Yes.
Perfect.
So you just add the initial number.
Exactly. Exactly. The old one, the one that you started with, maybe.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Everyone. Yes.
أنا عملت بس 7,888.3 times 2.05%.
أنت بتحب تجرب يا يحيى، أنا فهمت كده.
أيوه اللي هي plug in method.
أيوه أنا عارف، أنت بتحب الموضوع ده. You feel إن it's safer. I completely get it. I completely know إن this is a way of doing most of tests. ماشي. المشكلة بس والله يا يحيى إنه من كتر ما بتتعود على الطريقة دي لما بيجي سؤال يعني extremely easy بلاقي برضو الناس عمالة تجرب في choices، والموضوع بياخد فيها وقت أكتر بكتير، وبالعكس ممكن يلخبطك أكتر. واسبيشالي لو في
ممكن تكون وقت اقل.
بالظبط، اعملها لما يكون وقت اقل، دي حاجه. والحاجه الثانيه لما تكون مزنوق، اللي هو خلاص انا مش عارف احلها بقى. يعني مش عارف افكر ابتدي منين ساعتها. I try out my answers و I'll keep trying choices واشوف وافتي بقى. يعني ما هي برضه دي فيها سكه فتي الترايلز دي لانها بتجرب. انما طول ما انت عارف some sort of a plan please try the plan. ليه؟ عشان لو كان في تريك في كلمه هتعرف حتى بعد ما تكون خلصت كل الستبس ورجعت كده خدت بالك من كلمه في السؤال تعرف ايه الحته اللي اكملها وخلاص، ما بقاش بعيد كل حاجه من الاول. فاهم الفكره؟ بس انا والله I get يعني فعلا I completely get it و I think actually it's a good way of dealing with questions بس في الحاجات اللي انا مزنوق فيها. فاهمني؟ بس
Mr.
يس يا حبيبي.
I used another way. I divided the value of 1217, which is 8050.2 over 7888.3, and then I
شفت الديفرنس
subtracted by 1 the value of C. Is this a lucky shot or
no
it works?
No.
يعني it always works.
What you okay? So listen, ya Jed. What you did is mainly what you subtracted. It's like you got the percentage of this 8,000 and this 7,000, and then you subtracted them to get, and then you divided them by 161. Yani, at the end of the day, what you did is the same exact procedure. It's the difference is in the order of the steps. So you decided instead of getting the difference and getting its percentage, you got the percentage of the 8,000 out of the 7,000, and you realize that the increase is the percentage. So it's the same thing. It works 100%. Okay?
Okay, Mr.
What I also want you to know, this one, just for one reason, if these were variables. If for any reason, instead of numbers here, I got you variables, then you need to know how the equation works. You need to know that it's A minus B over A. Do you get the idea? Or A minus B over B in this case.
Okay, understood.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr.
Most welcome. Let's check finally number 5. This company has only one employee who works for 1,650 per month. In which year was this company unable to pay his full wage from the amount won from renting cars and trucks? طيب. Remember, in the year, the 1 year has a total of 12 months. Okay. So if this guy has a salary or takes a salary of 1,650 per 1 month, this means that through the year he'll have to take 12 multiplied by 1,650. That's his overall salary of the year. 1,650 multiplied by 12, and that's 19. That's 19,000. 19,800. Exactly. So this is the amount he takes over the year. We need to check at which year can the sum of the money that they got from the cars and the trucks together did not get to reach 19,800. So we just need to add cars and trucks for each of them. So we'll keep adding these two, and then 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 these two. So once you add all of those, you'll find that the first year actually was a year that they couldn't. The year 2015 plus each other, that would get you a total of 17,892.9. So that's less than his salary. So they can't pay his salary during the year of 2015. Is this clear?
Yes.
Awesome. Now I want to look at the responses. The majority did it right, but then a couple of people were a bit confused. I hope you do get everything that I've explained so far. If you do, please head right away to part 6. Part 6 has a total of other 5 questions. Still the same thing, a total of 8 minutes for the 5 questions. And if you're all done before then, I'll start right away. 8 minutes started now.